recording?
We are recording.
Nice. You're on the road in a surprisingly comfortable stagecoach that was sponsored by your new acquaintance, ally, possibly, Miss Evelyn Throd, who has graciously invited you to join her for the ride all the way, more than 100 miles, to Lippstadt from Ravengro, where you are supposed to finally earn your reward for looking after Kendra for 30 days, which turned out to be so much more than you could have ever anticipated. With Ravengro becoming just a tiny little dot on the horizon behind you, you cannot help but wonder what more Ustalav may have in store for you, because you get the sensation with everything that you've uncovered in Ravengro, all the mysterious circumstances of the professor's death can only mean that your journey has just begun. And as a sign of this ominous, of these premonitions of future events, each of you gets another hero card, which I'm going to deal to you. And you should find one in your hand pop up.
Oh, we get to hold on to the first ones?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, we can keep them and use them whenever we want, right?
Yes. You can even use several at the same time, I believe. So if you want to take a minute or two to find out what those cards actually do,
yeah.
There's the handout here that has a link that helps you figure out what sort of alignment and suit and everything your card is and what that means for you. And if you want to tell the others what sort of ability you have, just so they know what they can call on, then go ahead and do that too.
Huh. The Liar. Chaotic evil card of charisma. Okay, so charisma gives me a reroll for any d20 roll, and chaotic evil allows me to force someone to reroll saving throw. Well, that might be useful to if someone saves from my bombs, I suppose.
If a card is just neutral, does it not get an alignment ability?
Good question. Let's find out. Maybe I just missed to. Oh no, I just missed to bold true neutral. It is there. Let me point it out. Under lawful neutral, directly under lawful neutral, there's a true neutral section.
Oh.
Do you see it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, true neutral, not just neutral. Yeah.
So wait, in these tarot cards, how does the alignment work?
Well, you look up the. Did you look up the alignment so you know which one? And then if you scroll down in the handout, you'll see that there are descriptions to what the alignments do.
What did you say yours lets you do, Karnas?
It's a chaotic evil card, so it allows me to force rerolls on saving throws. And charisma allows me to reroll my own d20 one. So
That's
this time,
nifty.
yeah, this time Dr. Arronax will be lucky, somewhat.
Well, looks like I have the betrayal, which means that I also get the reroll. No. Sorry, I also get. I get to reroll one of my own.
Your own d20 rolls, yeah.
Yeah, and I can also channel negative energy once on a creature touched.
Nice.
Geier thinks it's Geier is superstitious and thinks it's an ill omen. Share your Harrowed cards.
Oh. Okay. Does Emaírel want to share?
Sure. I feel like maybe we should put them in the notes so that they're easily accessible later on, because this is certainly the sort of thing that we'll forget about once again. But for now, he got the Teamster, which is true neutral. True neutral of shields. So he can get from true neutral basically the spell Augury. And shields is one extra standard or move action.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Not too bad.
Ah, come on.
All right. So with that out of the way, we can continue our journey through Ustalav. And I've prepared a little map for orientation. If you zoom all the way out, you will see the entire country of Ustalav and its various counties, also known as the Palatinates. And if you zoom in a little more and follow my ping, you will find Ravengro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Home.
exactly. And since you're on a coach, you would probably have to follow the river for a little bit until you get to Clover's Crossing, which, however, you will give a nice, safe, wide berth because it is known to be the home of many ghouls these days. The road takes you to Tamrivena next, in the county of Lozary, which is one of the first counties that threw off the rule of the autocrats back during the revolutionary days of Ustalav. That journey takes almost a day something like 40 miles. And if you don't want to whip the horses too hard, you would probably not want to travel more than that. More like 60 miles even. Do you wish to stop there? Do you want to do any shopping? Because Tamirvena is a big city, so that would be an opportunity if you wanted to look at anything or wanted to get anything in particular that Ravengro didn't offer.
Might be worth it. I mean, now that we're on the road.
Well, if you have anything in mind, otherwise I would just skip it.
Yeah, I would like a hand crossbow.
Sure. It's easy enough to find.
And some component pouches. Just one. I know I have SQ
pouches?
materials, but just for flavor.
Okay.
Or no, I can get that later in Lepidstadt. Never mind. Just a crossbow then.
Okay. All right. From Tamirvena.
If we spend, I'll just say, if we spend a night there, Evelyn will be sure to acquire lodging, at least for herself, in a nicer part of town and get a good meal and a proper bed while they're not on the road.
Okay. That will be the usual fee, which I think is for you're just looking for some average comfort, nothing too luxurious.
I would say above average.
Okay. But just for yourself.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So doctor will be fine with an average lodging. So if we spend nights, so he probably will stay in the cleaner inn that he might look for, but without any luxury.
So that would be a common inn stay, which means you would spend 5 silver pieces per night, as opposed to Evelyn, who would be looking for a good inn, which charged 2 gold pieces per night.
Okay.
Geier would go to the local temple of Pharasma, if there's one.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's definitely one.
Okay, so he will ask for lodging there in exchange for work or donation to the church.
Okay, so that will be 2 silver pieces is kind of what they expect as a donation for this sort of poor lodging. Work, they don't really have any work that you could get done the same night because you want to leave the next day. So
he'll do the contribution.
Mm-hmm. So that will be 2 silver pieces. And how's Emaírel gonna spend the night?
Emaírel is kind of worried about the books that we're taking with us.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to be somewhere where someone might take them. So I think he'll look at the most well-guarded place, not necessarily the fanciest place.
Well, it does take a good accommodation to actually have a private room. So you would have to spend 2 gold pieces as well.
If you prefer, I can take the chest with me, and I can have my maidservant look after it.
I'd feel more at ease if I kept an eye on it. After all, it was entrusted to us.
As you will, then.
So yeah, Emaírel will spend the 2 GPs.
Okay. The next day, you set out north. towards Courtauld, which is a small town right on the border of Wieland, which is the next county over. And the journey from Courtauld to from Tamrivainer to Courtauld takes roughly half of the day. So you could push onwards and you would arrive at Lippstadt late at night, or you could spend some time in Courtauld, or you could plan to camp on the road, whichever you prefer.
I think if we will be home by night, it will be just easier to press on.
I agree.
Yeah,
Let's keep going.
So
All right.
Yeah, we will be able to have a good night's sleep in our own houses.
Okay, so you decide to not give the horses too much rest and you push onward, and the road kind of dips in and out of the outskirts of the Shudderwood that make their way all the way over almost to the edge of the river that you're about to cross. And whenever the road takes you into the woods, it gets a lot darker. Even though it is just late afternoon, you come across a stretch of road in the woods that feels like it's already at night. And on that stretch of road, you turn around one of the many corners and witness a strange scene. At first, you think that an accident happened. There are a bunch of covered wagons, very colorfully painted, gaudily even, and there are a couple of people milling around. All of them look like they have been in some sort of accident. There's a body of a man, just a torso really. His arms, legs are torn off, nowhere to be seen, that leans against one of the wagons. And of course that catches your eye pretty quickly. And then the man smiles and starts to wiggle, almost comically, and yells, Caleb! Caleb! There are people! People are coming! Maybe these will help us! Caleb! And one of the wagons opens up, and you see the writing on the cover of the wagon that says, "The Crooked Kin, Ustalev's greatest traveling cabinet of curiosities." And out of the wagon steps a man that is stark white, skin, hair, everything, except for his eyes, which are a burning red. And he's dressed in rugged but once fancy clothes with a tall top hat. And as he addresses you, you immediately are reminded of a ringmaster in a circus. And he says, he tries to wave you over as you're still a little ways away, the horse is only trotting slowly onward. And he says, "Please, good burghers, please stop and help a couple of artists in need. We have little to offer, but we are relying on your kindness."
Evelyn will call out to the driver. She'll go, Jacopo, slow the carriage for a moment.
"Ah, good lady, that is so nice of you and very gracious indeed. I'm well." And then he kind of falls into his persona, and he says, Behold before you the crooked kin, Ustalav's greatest traveling cabinet of curiosities. We have among us performers from all over Avestan and beyond. But one in our number is missing, I'm afraid, and we are not in a position to set out on a rescue by ourselves. And he kind of awkwardly gestures to the rest of his crew, and you see the various people that mill about. There's a short, hunched man with a distorted appearance that reminds you more of a flea than of a man, and he appears to be performing with his flea circus. You see a lady that stands nearly 7 feet tall and has a fine beard that goes all the way down to her waist. She's trying to comfort a little girl that it can't be older than 8, maybe, but her head is still the size of a newborn. The man that was leaning against the wagon, the torso that you thought was just a casualty of some terrible accident, turns out to be a Mwangi, who apparently just has no arms or legs anymore, which doesn't really break his good spirits. And he is trying to talk optimism into everyone else in the crew, but he's obviously not in a position to help beyond that. Another exotic-looking woman stands with the crew, dressed in exotic silks and sporting 4 arms. 3 men also seem to have extra limbs. One of them 3 legs, the others have 3 arms, and they're dressed in clownish costumes as if they were a sort of band of clowns. And a little awkwardly to the side stands a probably also 10-year-old boy, you would guess. It's hard to tell because he is covered in hair and looks more like a wolf than an actual child. He doesn't seem to be fully aware of what is going on around him, but you get the sense that he may be mentally disabled in some way. So you see, while we are some of the greatest performers in all of the country, our unique talents make it difficult for us to just stride into the woods to look for our little Elise.
Like, what happened? Who disappeared and how?
Well, as I mentioned, one of our numbers is missing. It's Elise. She's Poppy's sister, and he points to the pinhead girl. You see, we set up camp here for the night, and as it turns out, there were some strange noises off the trail. At least that's what Poppy told us. Even and Elise was curious enough to run off and investigate, and she hasn't returned. And now it's been several hours, and it's getting darker and darker out there, and we are getting very, very concerned.
Woods are not particularly safe, especially not at night. We are sorry to hear your situation.
That's
Well, that's
unfortunate indeed.
Of course we'll help them, though. I mean, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for the unfortunate freaks of this world, and of course we can provide our aid. We can stop for a moment. Jacopo, we need to water the horses anyway.
Oh, we'll be happy to share any supplies we have on us with your horses and your driver. Of course, that's the least we can do, and we'll soon be in Lippstadt and can resupply anyway. So that did you hear that, everyone? They are going to help us. And then the entire group turns towards you, stopping their individual conversations, and you can see that they are very very happy about that.
Geier turns to Evelyn, like, "What are you doing? I mean, I'm all for helping these people, but we don't know what's out there, and
We've been hooked up in.
None of us are trackers, Evelyn.
Forest people. Do you know how to track people?
We've been cooped up in this carriage for days. Come on now. Surely you could at least stand a chance to stretch your legs.
Well, sure, but we're gonna get lost ourselves in there. I don't find myself comfortable in the woods and the wilderness.
Oh, come on. It'll be fun.
Nothing is ever fun in a forest outside of Lippstadt.
Well, very well. At least I was able to brew some of my mutagen back when we were just moving out.
Well, at least if something happens, we won't have to go too far to bury your bodies.
Thank you, Geier. You're such a sunshine sometimes. Just what we
Just
need
happy
in this
to provide
dark
a
night.
service.
Very well. With what's the word? Resigned expression on his face, Arronax will will dismount from the carriage and stretch his limbs, probably showing that he is almost as tall as any other of performance in the circus, I suppose. And so, good gentleman, can you at least point us in the direction your girl escaped to?
Oh, again, thank you so much. You have no idea how grateful we are that it's not like this road sees a lot of travelers, and even though we were lucky enough to saw two riders come by before you, none of them cared to help us in any way. They were, and I thank you at least for trying it. Please, yes, I can show you where Poppy said that Elise ran off. And he takes you just a couple of steps away from the spot where they set up their camp for the night. It was here. I believe, well, at least Poppy told us so, that she went into the underbrush here, and then Poppy heard her rustle about for a little bit, but then she was gone.
Does anybody know why this Elise would have run off?
Well, all we know is that she heard some strange noises, and she's a naturally curious girl, and I assume she was just going to investigate.
It's probably fairies. They lure children, and then I think they possess them or eat them. Can't remember which one.
Nah, it can't be fair. It probably were the wild animals. They stalk children in the night and they consume their bodies.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
Oh, please, that's and Caleb looks over to his crew and says, "Please don't talk like that. It would greatly upset them if anything happened to poor Elise. So please don't say that even in jest."
Very well. I'm sorry. I didn't want to sound so insensitive, but we will do whatever in our powers. Nope, not that. Sorry.
And
Whatever
I
in our
stab him the
power.
back. Yeah. Card that just went full mortar hobo.
So Emarél is going to retrieve and don his shield and blade, and he's going to focus for a second and cast a spell on himself.
Mm-hmm.
Geier, would a knowledge arcana or knowledge history kind of help me figure out what kind of creatures are rumored to be in this forest?
That would be knowledge local.
Which
Evelyn will definitely be recalling what she can about this area as well.
Oh, and now I have 8 bombs per day. That is always nice.
And then Emarél will start to will try to look around and see if he catches anything, like in the
Okay.
immediate.
Yes, and meanwhile, Dr. Arronax will use his meager survival skill to look for tracks.
Okay. Is there a knowledge local coming from Geier?
nope.
Okay.
If it helps, I have knowledge nature.
Well, that would be very well. Of course, you could know knowledge nature about what creatures live in the forest and make noises, but
No,
I think
well, yeah,
that
okay.
would be highly generic.
Geier just shuffles behind the group, limping.
All right.
His
Mhm.
white brim hat covering his face.
And Arronax he prepared a dexterity mutagen this time, once again deciding to impair his will saves.
Okay.
He doesn't drink it yet.
So Emarél and the doctor look around for some tracks, and indeed, you find fresh tracks that are actually not that hard to find, exactly where Caleb pointed them out. And you follow them for about half a mile. They keep going on. Looks like that girl was driven onward by her own curiosity for quite some time. Because it's not just the distance, it's also getting pretty boggy. And then it just becomes a densely vegetated, midge-infested marsh.
Ugh.
The tracks soon all but vanish underwater. So you can do another survival roll to see if you can find them again.
Remind myself that I'm doing this just because I'm such a good person. Arronax says to himself very, very glumly.
Geier turns to Arronax and says, I wasn't joking. I think those are all real things we can find here.
You try your hardest, but you just can't seem to find any further tracks. I mean, there's just water everywhere,
Yeah.
so how
Well,
would you find footprints?
our albino friend asked us not to say things even in jest, so I suppose I keep my opinion of what happened to the girl to myself. But it's not pretty, I'm afraid.
Would Emarél notice anything?
Well, Emarél and Evelyn both point out to the doctor that you don't have to find the tracks per se, because if she is Poppy's sister, then she's probably about the same size, and the water is getting deeper here, so she couldn't have gone this way and that way. She came from this way, so she probably went in that direction over there.
Mm-hmm. That's very
And what
strict
is
logic.
that direction?
You want to continue?
Well, if their observations are correct, we already took
Okay.
an obligation, so
Evelyn is sort of happily trotting off through the swamp, and she did switch into like some more rugged clothing from her typical garb for this, specifically for this little diversion. And it's it's getting covered in mud and stuff. She just doesn't seem to care whatsoever.
Arronax will be buying new clothes once he gets to Lipstadt.
All right, so you push onward. The water is getting near waist high now for a couple of yards, and you keep on pushing, and then about 100 yards later, you finally get to a cramped clearing that's filled with dismal-looking gray flowers. And you finally manage to step out of the deep bog for a little bit. The clearing is still sort of heavy undergrowth, or more like a shallow bog, so it's still kind of hard to move around because it makes a sucking sound every time you lift your foot and water runs into the footprint. But at least you're not in knee deep anymore.
Should we have visibility here?
Visibility?
All I
And
see is
We
black.
don't see
Vision.
anything.
why is that? Did you see the page before? Oh, I see
No.
why.
Emaírel would have lit a torch.
No, it's fine.
There we go.
Okay.
Well, suppose we ought to have a look around here. And Evelyn will call out Elise's name. Don't worry, Elise, we're friends. Are you around? You can come out.
I'm over here! You hear a child's voice, a girl's voice, ring out
Oh,
from the from the northeast direction, somewhere in the deeper bog section. You can't really see where.
yeah, and like sweet hugs of Erasmus, she's still alive. The Arronax
I wouldn't be
seems
too sure. I've heard stories about beasts that imitate the sound of children to snare travelers and eat their bones.
I mean, to be honest, after what we've seen in Harrowstone, that would be a welcome diversion.
I'm not saying not go explore. I'm just saying it might not be the girl.
I mean, I still have all my bombs with me, so what can go wrong?
I am curious to see what kind of creature
well,
would do such a thing. I'm just saying.
Geier,
Let's go. And yeah, at this point, Arronax also will raise his voice, like, "Stay there, we're coming."
So you move towards where you heard the voice?
Yes.
Okay. As you push forward into the heavy bog, it gets hard to move again, but there's a little girl to be saved, so what you don't do for charity. When all of a sudden, right next to you, a large spider-like monster the size of a horse with an eerie humanoid face surrounded by a shaggy mane of fur just pops into existence. Surprise, catching you by surprise and immediately trying to sink its razor-sharp teeth into some of your exposed skin. 14 against your flat-footed AC?
Against
who's-
who?
Against the doctor.
My flat-footed AC 15.
So that's 16 points of damage. Now we'll need a fortitude save.
Wait. My
Yeah,
flat-footed
his AC.
Oh,
it's 15. So
it's 50.
Oh,
Sorry. I just heard the way you said it, and for some reason it sounded like you were disappointed.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So what gives you that AC? Did it take just like?
I need to check. I think it just my armor class. I'm wearing studded leather because I returned my Masterwork chain shirt. So well, it says this, but my dexterity is +2.
Well, the dexterity doesn't matter for flat-footed.
I have no idea.
Any natural armor bonus?
It should be switched off, and it is switched off. Natural armor from my mutagen.
$15.
So
Can you get back?
5.
I mean it. Okay.
No, it should be just 13.
Weird. Wait, is there a recalc here or something? Because my AC has this lightning bolt.
Oh, that's a bonus. That's you have a temporary bonus somewhere.
Yeah, but I don't think I have any conditions, and because I've checked, it's kind of weird. Is it my natural armor didn't reset or something?
Probably, but it should be just 13. So
Okay.
it is 16 points of damage and a fortitude save, please. And then the spider just whoosh, phases out again.
With me?
Nope, you remain where you are, but the spider is gone. And we'll roll for initiative.
Oh dear.
We are going to need the tokens so that the initiative gets sent to it.
That's okay, I'll just put you in.
1 second, guys. I have to step away. I'll be right there.
Did I roll my fortitude? Oh, Jesus. Oh, gosh.
Emaírel is going to dismiss the spell and get a +4 on that initiative.
Okay.
Guys, sorry to interrupt, but I just got a huge box from BBL Services, which is the company that's been delivering my unusual items.
Look at that.
I have no idea what this is.
You gotta keep us posted on how that's going.
Yeah.
Okay, if that is poison, well, I have a bonus, but against DC 18, that probably doesn't matter.
Okay. Never. I was a little
Wait,
sorry.
Why did you roll twice, Curtis?
Because one time I clicked and it didn't appear.
Okay. So
So-
the first one is the one.
Yeah, first one counts. And I've clicked on initiative, so it probably will appear in about 5 minutes.
All right. So before the spider disappears, you feel a very sharp burning sensation in addition to the horrible wound that it left, and it leaves you sort of staggering, dizzy, and just generally feeling terrible. But Geier, you get to act first before we get to Arronax.
But you said the spider disappeared, or can I still see the spider?
It disappeared. It just popped out of existence again. Didn't even leave tracks in them. Or it did leave tracks in the mud, but they're already filling with water again.
It left tracks on me.
That as well.
If I throw magic missile, does that still hit, even if it's invisible?
You don't know. I mean, are you asking me? Are you just
Okay.
thinking about it?
Geier will mutter, I knew something bad was going to happen, but that is a mighty interesting creature. He'll try to feel with his blood if there's anything preternatural about this and anything magical surrounding this place. So he will try and detect magic.
Okay. So, of course, at first you will notice the presence of magic because it'll take you a while to sort out your own magic auras from whatever else may be around here. Arronax. First of all, the dizziness mechanically means you take a point of constitution damage.
Ah, that's some dizziness.
And I will need another fortitude save.
I have crit. Anytime now. Anytime.
Do you have the 3D dice on?
Maybe.
Maybe you want to turn those off.
Oh, there we go.
There's the 21. Okay. All right. So, 1 point of constitution damage, as I already said, and it's your turn.
Okay, so you said I'm staggered. It is mechanically staggered or just fluff?
No. It's just the constitution damage, no additional condition. But you are in the bog, so every square counts double and stuff like that. But, yeah.
How far am I from my friends? Am I within a move action?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in this case, he will try to with the wait through the walk back to Emaәрel, because he's the one in fancy armor with a big sword. After that, he will shake himself up and pop one of his new fancy extracts of cure moderate wounds into himself, mentally preparing for battle.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was it. 2d8 plus 4.
Okay. The next moment, right behind Geier, who is sunken into concentration, the horse-sized spider appears again and tries to bite him. I'll need your flat-footed AC for this. 15.
10.
So that's 12 points of damage, and I'll need a fortitude save.
Go.
And then the spider kind of moves away from Geier, and as she moves away, she once again disappears.
Ah, it got me. Oh, that's not. I think it punctured an organ.
Emaәрel?
Emaírel wants to figure out what is this thing.
There will be a knowledge arcana check, and Alejandro will need a concentration check from you because you took damage while
Ah, yeah.
concentrating on a spell. Yeah, 22. There will be what I'll give you for free is that you're dealing with a face spider here, Emaírel. You know that. You've read about them probably or heard about them. They are magical beasts, and they are voracious predators from the ethereal plane who hunt on the material plane. So what you're witnessing here is that's of course so what you're witnessing here is sort of the most well documented tactics that they employ. They shift to the material plane, bite, then retreat back to the ethereal plane to wait for their poison to take effect. And that's what it's doing right now. You have 2 more questions.
Any way to attract it? Or maybe lock?
There is magic to lock them in place, but other than that, only readying for it to appear and trying to hit it.
And last question. Weaknesses?
Weaknesses. They have pretty weak will, but that's about it. No particularly known energy weaknesses or anything like that.
Okay, so I think Emaírel will ready an action to stab this thing as soon as it pops next to him.
Okay. Evelyn.
Evelyn is going to also make a knowledge check.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
Scary giant spider that should be able to do that.
How big is this thing?
It's the size of a horse. It's large in terms of size categories.
Oh, damn. Okay. She kind of sees this thing that she's never, ever even imagined before, and she kind of mutters to herself, I need to get out more. And she draws a wand with her move action, and then she prepares to cast a spell. She readies an action to cast a spell the next time that this thing becomes visible and it's within range.
Okay. Geier.
As blood flows from Geier's side, he feels his blood boil in anger and frustration and surprise, and he gets ready to. He prepares. His hand starts to glow blue, and if he prepares a touch spell for when the creature next appears. Chill touch.
Okay.
Will that work? Like if I get bitten, that's a touch. So I can touch it back.
Well, yeah, you can. What you can do is, or how it works is, you cast the spell now, and then you hold the charge, and then when it appears, you just use the opportunity to touch it real quick and discharge the spell.
Okay, then that's what I do.
So whether or not your ready action triggers, you're gonna have to cast the spell now. So you have to subtract one of your daily uses. Okay, Arronax.
Arronax, now he a bit more lively that he.
Oh,
he
first of all, sorry, fortitude save.
healed himself up a little bit, but he's still a bit on a greenish side.
Continues to suffer
wait.
constitution damage.
Wait.
Yeah, that's independent of your roll.
So
That happens anyway.
That goes with impaired fortitude then. Okay, so that's resisting poison all over again.
All right. So you take that damage, and then
Yeah, he is a bit on a greenish side again, almost like Geier. But yeah, and I've declared that I have prepared a dexterity mutagen when Constitution would be kind of useful right now. Never mind, but he will continue to prepare himself in a more evident way, and he will drink a shield extract. Thusly,
Gluck.
Yep, thusly protecting his flat-footed behinds from further attacks by phase spiders.
Okay. And the next victim it chooses is Emaírel. And it appears right to your left. And since you were prepared to strike at it as soon as it appears, to its own surprise, you get a swing at it or a stab.
Poor stab.
Yeah. But it caught you on your bad side, it seems. And you don't even hit it. You just miss it. It's nimble enough even to be caught on a bad foot to avoid your stab. Instead, it tries to bite you and does so for 15.
Hold on.
It actually doesn't.
Oh, sorry. Evelyn, of course, also gets her action first.
Yeah. As soon as it appears, she casts her spell, which I believe it doesn't have any verbal components. It doesn't have any somatic, so I'm not even sure that anyone can tell she's doing it visually.
Mm-hmm.
But it calls for a will save from the creature.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, psychic magic is invisible.
Yeah, just checking any immunities, but okay. Will save. Bad will save.
Good for us, because Evelyn has cast this.
And
Thing is that.
All right, let's see what happens. All right, so first of all, it appears. Emaírel tries to stab it. It avoids that blow, and with a vicious grin on its eerily human face, it leaps to bite him. But then Evelyn just gives it a good hard look, I guess. Stern look, and suddenly that sneering face turns into, just loses all of its emotion, all of its expression, and it just becomes a mask, a totally relaxed mask of nothingness. And it just stops what it's doing and sits there looking at Arronax, who's struggling with the poison, and at Geier, who's bleeding and just seems bored with that little challenge you're offering. And it doesn't even phase out, I guess. Failure to lose all interest in its current task. Yep, no. Okay, I find it highly distracting when the chat fills up with a conversation.
I'm sorry.
While So it's Gaia's turn.
So my previous spell is wasted, right?
Yes.
Well, not exactly. You still can hold the charge. So, I mean, if
No,
you
I think he.
if you didn't
No,
cast
he lost. Oh, you mean the readied spell? Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
wasted. You still have the charge. Only if you do anything but deliver that spell as a standard action, then you lose the spell.
So then Geier limps towards the creature, places a hand on one of its hideous legs, and releases the chill touch.
Okay, let's see if you hit it. Melee touch.
Ah, sorry.
Where's the touch roll?
Here you go. Oh, there's no automatic touch roll or what?
Well, I think you would have to include it in
I
the
thought,
description somewhere.
thought I did. Okay, so it's for touch. What's the roll?
For you're touching with dexterity, right? So it's
Yeah.
it's base plus dex.
Touch. Ah, yeah, I think I got it automatically. What? Sorry. Touch plus dexterity, right?
Oh, there it is. Okay, that's a.
Yeah, it did work.
It doesn't look
But
like
it didn't add my dexterity.
Nope.
Okay. Well, it's
But-
plus. So
And
that'll
you don't have a base attack bonus?
yeah, and my base attack bonus is +2.
Okay, so you're at +4 now?
Yes, +4.
Okay, so that's a 17. So well, it is the size of a horse, and it's really bored and doesn't even really seem to care at this point. So it's quite easy for you to touch as you push your way through the bog, splashing water everywhere, and then reaching out to discharge your spell. It does get a fortitude or will. Touch creature takes 1 point. Okay, it does a fortitude
Yeah, it
first.
takes 1 point of strength damage unless it makes a fortitude save.
Yeah, but what is that about will?
Will is for undead. That's the last paragraph.
Oh, okay. All right. So it only takes the. Where's the damage? Oh, if you put the 1d6 in brackets, then it rolls the damage automatically. Double brackets. So that's 3 points of damage, negative energy, the energy damage you do to the spider, who just hardly is disturbed by that and still seems entirely unimpressed. Just says a couple of words in a clicking language that none of you understand. Arronax, your turn.
And Arronax becomes even more invigorated by the sight of the giant spider not phasing away, and he instantly, without even saying a witty one-liner, tosses a sparking vial straight at this thing. And a thing, and yeah, yeah, and because of his newly developed expertise, he excludes himself, Emaírel, and Geier right out of splash damage.
All right. And boom, it goes off, and to everyone's surprise, the explosion is weirdly shaped so that
It is
only the
as if cone shaped, basically, with this
right.
position.
So only the spider creature takes that damage, but despite the artistic use of alchemical powers, the spider still not impressed. Emaírel.
Emaírel is going to stab this thing while trying to figure out some arcane question at the same time.
It just listlessly dodges your attack.
he
Listless
would,
dodge.
yeah. He is trying to figure out. So it's a face spider, so it moves to a different plane, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out if a sea invisibility spell would help with seeing it when it's on the other plane.
I don't think see invisibility. Does see invisibility say you can see into the ethereal plane? Yeah, as well as any that are ethereal. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's it for his turn.
I'm gonna have to figure something. So seeing does not necessarily mean that you can hurt it though.
Yeah, just to know the location.
Okay, yeah, that definitely works. Yeah, force effects and abjuration effects and abjurations affect an ethereal creature normally. Their effects extend onto the ethereal plane from the material plane, but pretty much nothing else. Evelyn, your turn.
Yeah, so let's say if she has some sort of spellcasting tell, it's that her eyes seem to glint with that shining light green glow, her pupils, and now that the creature is standing there dully, she takes a swift action to focus her hypnotic stare onto it, imposing a -2 on its will saves as long as she continues to stare.
Oh, wow.
Ha! I was right.
And sort of calmly makes her way as gracefully as she can through the muck and the mire towards this thing. And she comes up next to Emaírel and places a hand on him and says, "Next time you're going to take a swing at something, you should come to me first." And she implants a mesmerist trick in him.
What does that mean?
That it's basically a thing that when there's a triggering condition, there's a variety of tricks. But when there's a triggering condition, I can trigger it for an immediate action, and it will have some sort of effect. And it sort of lies dormant in him until the triggering action occurs.
Oh, okay. So does he have any sensation when you implant it, or is it just a weird interaction?
It doesn't describe anything.
How would you think Evelyn would do that then?
Well, she can't break her gaze from this spider, so she's just kind of going to maybe like lightly take the back of her hand and kind of brush it against his face. It's like a weird caress, but she's not even looking at him while she does it.
Okay. The creature. So first of all, because I forgot on Karnas's turn, I'll need another fortitude save.
+2 from poison.
Okay.
Because I still get that starting poison resistance as an alchemist.
Okay. All right. So, and the creature gets another will save, right, to break the boredom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At a -2 from your gaze. So like I said, it sort of listlessly dodged Emaírel's stab, just kind of goes ugh, and seems entirely unimpressed by all of this, and just looks at Geier, looks at Evelyn, Emaírel, and it just sighs. Geier.
So right now, what Evelyn is doing? What's it? She's touching the spider's face.
No, she's touching Emaírel's shoulder.
Oh. Okay. Then Geier will.
While maintaining eye contact with the spider, right?
Yes.
To establish dominance.
Already. Geier will speak out some words at the cursing at the creature as he's playing. I knew I shouldn't have come to this bloody forest. You'd go back to whatever hole you came from if you know what's good for you.
And?
Oh, I rolled cause fear.
It's not showing up, is it?
It
Showed
showed
up
up.
for me.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's another will save. Failed, and it's frightened.
How does that mix us with boredom?
Oh,
Is
wait.
it frightened and bored?
With 6 or more hit dice, it's immune to this effect. So yeah, it's immune. It doesn't. It's just.
It's too bored.
Yeah, it's bored by your fearsomeness. Arronax.
Arronax considers. Now here, I'm wandering in mutagen right now. I'll just bump this thing again.
And boom, you blow up a bomb in its face for 10 points of damage, avoiding to blast your allies in the process.
Yeah,
And it looks like you finally shrugged off that poison. Emaírel.
Emaírel no longer is thinking about any sort of arcane matters, so maybe he'll roll better. But what's going to happen with what Evelyn did?
Let's see. I'm actually reading it right now. Make sure I get it right. I can trigger the trick when the subject moves into or begins her or his turn in a square where she threatens an enemy.
That is now.
You're threatening an enemy. Okay, so I will trigger it at the beginning of your turn. And suddenly another Evelyn appears, standing with a dagger in hand, ready to thrust at the spider, and providing a flanking bonus to Emaírel.
Can everybody see that, or just Emaírel?
Everyone can see it.
Wow. Very cool.
This is false flanker.
Oh, there's the roll already. Okay. So that is a 20. That's a hit for 7 points of damage. This time you strike it successfully, but it's still, even though it's already bleeding, it continues to be bored. Evelyn?
And as quickly as that image appeared, it vanishes as soon as Emaírel's turn is over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since this thing is locked down at the moment, Evelyn is just going to touch Emaírel again. And she says, "There you go. That's more like it." and just keeps staring into this spider's hideous face, and kind of says to it, "You're going to die here, and you don't even care enough to do anything about it."
16 is not enough, right? Did you say 18? So
Is
again,
that including the -2?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's still her DC is 17, I believe.
All right, nice. So the spider creature makes eye contact with Evelyn, and she says, "You don't even care, do you?" And she cocks her head a little bit. She obviously doesn't understand what Evelyn is saying, and just again in her clicking voice or in that clicking language says something that just sounds like and it doesn't take any actions. Geier. What a fun comment.
Yeah, Geier is staring hatefully at.
Get ready for the mesmerist, Simon.
Don't get cocky. That's the first time
That's true.
that's working.
Still leaning on his shovel, he extends one hand, and from it, a splash of acid rolls out.
And gently singes the creature's hairy abdomen. Arronax.
You might want to step back, Geier. We'll say.
Well, I stepped back since
Okay.
earlier when I didn't need to touch it anymore.
Well, he continues to capitalize on the perceived boredom of the spider. Fuck.
But bored as it is, it's still defending itself, and that will need a reflex save.
Which would be DC 16.
So it makes the save. So is that 6 points? Yeah, 6 points of damage, halved. So yeah, takes very little damage from the bomb. Emaírel.
Emaírel is pleased to have a flanking partner, but is kind of weirded out by how it's happening.
Yeah, it happens again. The image of
it happens
Evelyn
again.
appears. Yeah, it appears in a different spot. She implanted another trick in him, and she activates it at the beginning of his turn.
Oh man, does that include the flanking?
No, so it's a 16.
16, unfortunately, still is not enough. And Evelyn.
This is what, the 4th round since I've cast it.
We are in round 4, so yeah, that will be the last. Right after your turn, it's going to be back to. No, you are level 4.
No, I cast it. I cast it in the second round of combat because I had to ready to cast it in the first round.
Okay, you need to remind me to put a counter in when
Sure,
it's
yeah,
short
I'll do that.
spells. Yeah, but
Okay, so this is the 3rd round that the thing is going to make its save. All right, so I don't have to do anything quite yet. I'm just gonna, since I'm standing next to Emaírel, no, I'm gonna keep doing the same thing. Standard action to implant him with another trick, and just keep staring. Everything's going great.
By the way, her stare gives only a penalty to will saves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was kind of hoping we could reduce its reflexes also, but no.
Just will. But it does apply to will saves on everything, including other people's.
And as the bomb comes flying, it just lifts one of its many legs, and the bomb flies under, just rolls under her, and she doesn't even really try to jump to the side. It's more almost by accident that she avoids most of the burn. And when Evelyn catches her, eyes again. She just sort of slumps and seems completely bored. That effect works on the GM too. Geier.
Geier is feeling his blood burn, and his frustration is mounting up, leaning on his shoulder. Goes like, bloody hell! Let's see how this thing works. And he tries to fire with his crossbow. And that is a ranged attack, right?
Yes.
I haven't finished adding it.
But you should never use a crossbow if you don't have to. An acid splash is always going to be better.
I know,
the
but
target...
he's frustrated. He doesn't know what he's doing with magic, and
Okay, I see.
it's more like, I can't. What is happening with me? This magical thing's emanating. I don't like it.
And it just goes ploink, and the bolt goes somewhere into the bog.
Stupid piece of junk.
Arronax.
Well, he will proceed as planned, because so far it seems that his bombs are working, except that last one. But that was an accident. That doesn't count. In this one as well.
And once again, more by accident, she avoids the direct hit, but gets burned for the full 6 points of splash. Emaírel.
Stabs it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, activate the.
So that's 6 points of damage with the help of the flanking buddy that gives you +2 for flanking, but creeps you out. The boredom ticks down 1 step, and then it's Evelyn's turn.
Oh, okay, that's counting down. Okay. Yeah. You said she doesn't recognize this language at all.
Let me check real quick. Oh, I don't have your character yet. Any fancy languages, you know?
Just common and necrol.
No, you don't recognize it then. Doesn't even seem related to anything you know.
Evelyn's gonna get real cocky, and she's gonna lean right into the spider's face, and I'm trying to figure out how I can do this, because I can't do it with language. And a lot of my spells are language dependent in terms of convincing her to do things. I don't know if I can make like a diplomacy roll.
If it's language dependent, then it's just depend. There's no way to circumvent that.
Well, I mean, is a diplomacy roll always language dependent?
I mean, do you want to apply a spell effect to her, or what is it?
No, I want to roll diplomacy on her.
I mean, it probably shouldn't.
To ask her for a favor? I mean, she still knows
Basically,
she's in a fight, and
I'm
you still
going to-
take the penalty and everything.
I'm going to try to convince this thing. I'd like to try it. Basically, I want to express that if she tells us where the girl is, we might let it live.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I can pantomime little girl or something.
Yeah, but I don't think that's more intimidate than diplomacy.
Oh, okay. Well, I can intimidate it too. I can try that.
Okay, yeah, try that. $17, and the was 10 plus their wisdom, or 10 plus hit dice plus wisdom, I think. Is that right? 10 plus hit dice plus wisdom. 16, 17. So that's exactly enough. So on top of it being bored, it is now also shaken.
Okay. Wasn't trying to do that, but
Well, that's really all you can expect to do.
All right,
Because anything else would take longer, I think.
that's fair.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it would take like a minute or so of conversation. But that adds another -2 on its saving throw. So, did that replace your stare ability?
I would imagine the intimidate check would be no. The stare I
This is
can
swift.
maintain
Okay.
once I activate it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a swift to activate, and then I can maintain it.
Okay,
But
all
I
right.
would imagine the intimidate's my stamina.
Okay. So, I mean, the scene is still pretty impressive. So you're standing in this bog, and Geier is still bleeding from the creature's terrible jaws, and Arronax is still reeling with the poison after effects. And then there's this horse-like spider creature with that alien, eerily human face, and it's just standing there. And Evelyn is standing right in front of it, looking up into its face. Is almost like their noses almost touch, and she continues to convince it to just stand there and take this beating of Thornblade stabs by Emaírel and bomb blasts by Arronax without using any of its incredible seeming powers. And the only response it has to that is a slightly trembling Geier.
Did it make another will save?
Yeah, it failed.
Okay.
Geier lets out a similar murmuring of like, yeah, I know how you feel. And in frustration, he will just go into defense and lean against the tree trunk.
Okay.
Let you idiots deal with this one.
And,
Arronax.
and this time Arronax will address to Evelyn, yelling, "Lady Evelyn, please stand clear of the blast!"
And boom, it goes off and sends spider parts flying everywhere.
Geier leans from the tree, walks over to the remnant of the spider, and with this dagger starts scraping a bit of chiton and a bit of fleshy bits and putting assortment of things in a little bag he has.
Evelyn turns to everyone and she says, "Well, this is an adventure." With a big smile on her face.
If I do a knowledge arcana, is there anything I can harvest from the corpse?
What do you mean harvest?
Or anything that might be valuable.
You better check
There-
its insights on presence of little
How-
girls.
No, I mean
in
something
there.
like the head. We can bring back maybe the head is valuable. I'm sure they'll be happy to know these creatures no longer being a hassle. And if we can find the head.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Arronax will take a deep sigh again and will raise his voice. "Are you still alive, girl? Or you were a giant spider?"
Emaírel will try to head for the direction where we heard the voice from, and he's mostly doing it just to have something to do and not stand near Evelyn.
Before we move on, gentlemen, I can assist you further should we encounter something else. All it takes is a touch.
What do you mean?
I can be of assistance to you in the same way I was to Emaírel, or in other ways.
Make me stop bleeding. Is that
I
coming
can't-
handy?
I'm afraid I can't help with
Oh,
that.
right, wait. Speaking of that, here, Geier, take this. Yeah, I mean, he and Arronax will offer Geier his last cure moderate wounds. Wow. Let me actually write in the roll.
Evelyn notices Emaírel just walking away and just kind of lets him go. But she turns to the doctor and she says, my good doctor, do you often find yourself in close quarters combat?
No, in fact, I do my best to skip away from close quarters combat, and I advise you do the same. And because, as you could have noticed, Lady Evelyn, I use highly incendiary devices to bring my enemies down with extreme prejudice. And I only recently learned how to not to hit my friends with them. So. Close quarters combat is exceedingly dangerous affair, and men of science like me use their intelligence to fight their enemies, which is absolutely anathema to swinging sharp blades at them. No offense, Emaírel. Well, Emaírel walked away. He doesn't hear him. Well, that's nice. It's not awkward anymore.
Well, in that case, let me provide you with something else then. And she reaches out and she touches his forearm and she implants him with another trick. I have to make sure that I know exactly when it triggers. Yeah, I think I know. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have any effect for now. And she also approaches Geier and she says, no offense, my stricken friend, but you look positively ghastly right now. And she touches him and implants him with a trick, which basically makes him look. She uses it to make him look normal, like not affected by whatever undead thing is happening to him. So he kind of looks like his normal, not ghoulish self.
I don't think it's that much of a change. He was very ghoulish to begin with.
Oh, in that
Kinda
case,
like his nickname back in Lepish was, the Ghoul of Grave Charge.
fair point. In that case, she makes him look like a rather handsome half-orc.
Well, that's a challenge all in itself.
I don't think there's magic strong enough for that.
And she also touches herself and implants another trick in herself. So right now, just for the record, Arronax is affected by the Mask Misery trick. Geier is affected by Fearsome Guise, and Evelyn has also affected herself with Mask Misery.
And how does this affect us, or how does this affect? Yeah.
You're being affected as if by disguise self.
Okay.
And that's all you need to know for now.
Well, Geier doesn't know he's really changed because he's not looked at his reflection, has he?
You ought to take a look in that pool of water over there.
What pool of water? It's all mud here.
Fair enough. I'm sure I have a makeup mirror somewhere in my bag. We'll take a look later. But we wouldn't want to go scaring the poor little girl, would we?
Guess that's a fair point.
If there is a little girl in there, the Arronax mumbles, also beginning to waddle through the bog and following Emaírel.
So this tricks of yours, Evelyn. Where'd you learn this kind of magic? And with what purpose?
Oh, you know, you spend some time traveling, you pick little things up here and there, and yeah, you learn along the way that sometimes persuasive words spill over a little into persuasive magics.
Well, that's hardly an answer, but I'm not gonna press. Let's just find this girl and get off this bog.
So yeah, suppose we begins looking for a girl again.
Okay, give me a perception check. Geier?
Oh, yeah. Thought I had it.
That doesn't really matter anyway, because
Geier
Emaírel
very
is the one who notices it for sure. You look around a little bit from in the area where you heard the girl scream before, but there is nothing there, not even any sorts of tracks. So you head back to the little clearing, and that's where Emaírel notices a set of tracks that look like something was dragged away. And you follow those tracks for a little bit until you find, half submerged in the bog, a few yards past the clearing, the broken body of a small girl with a tiny, tiny head.
This is
I
most
never did like
unfortunate.
burying, making the small graves.
The,
They're always the
eh,
hardest.
is there any sign of, or rather, can we figure out what killed it? Does it look like bites from the spider?
You can give me a heal check.
And Geier will try to sense if there's any magic emanating from the area.
Okay, so you focus for a little bit
Yeah.
while the doctor inspects the girl's wounds, and
It looks like
he,
Geier, almost like he's praying.
and she's clearly been bitten by something, but it takes the doctor's expertise to be entirely sure that the set of fangs matches the spider.
Yeah,
But he
I could just
is.
match it with a bite of my own, to be sure.
Exactly. But yeah, you eventually you confirm your suspicion. In the meantime, Gaia, you focus and you sort of sunken into prayer when you feel like this strange tingling sensation. There's something over there, and you move over just a couple of steps. You reach into the brackish, muddy water of the bog, and you feel something hard, glassy. You bring your hand back up, and as the black mud flows away, you hold a small vial of a potion of some sort. You can give me a Knowledge Arcana roll.
Right away.
I am not going to taste test the potion that we fished out of the bog. Just so you know.
You're not sure what it is that you're feeling here, but it's definitely some sort of magic.
Curious.
Well,
Keep it for later.
yeah. At least you wipe it first before you give it to me, okay? Who knows
doesn't
how
really
long
wipe
it
it.
like?
And,
yeah.
No, Geier doesn't wipe it, and he just pockets it.
Very well. I mean,
You said you were not gonna taste it. I found it. It's mine.
good. I mean, the mere thought makes me not vomit, makes me queasy. Yes. Okay, and
But I guess we better return to the group with the bad news.
yeah, and we probably should take her with us as well.
I'm sure they
Yeah.
would want to see the body returned.
I'll conduct the Pharasman rites. Make sure she gets a proper burial, and so her soul can find some rest from this wretched place. No spiders where you're going, little lady.
Hopefully.
Emaírel is trying to figure out, could the spider have bitten it right before it attacked us? Because we heard the little girl
Oh,
right before
right.
we were attacked.
Well, if you ask that question out loud, the doctor will negate it. He'll say that it's not possible. She's been dead for definitely longer than your fight. And it's been in entirely different direction too.
So something called us to here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those face spiders probably are intelligent, right? It's as Geier said, it probably was the spider itself.
All right.
But Evelyn will try calling out one more time into the bog and the forest for Elise's name.
Mm-hmm. But this
She'll call out
time everything remains silent except for the animals.
And you said that it came from a particular direction.
Yeah, and
That
when you headed in that direction, that's when you got ambushed by the spider. But it's
Okay.
way different direction than where you found the body.
Evelyn's gonna go back in that direction a little bit further.
From where you heard the voice.
In the direction of the voice.
Okay.
Arronax will follow her just to have an opportunity to kick the face spider in the face once for a good measure.
And as he does so, Evelyn, you take one more last look around and wonder what could it have been that answered your call earlier. But you find no clue.
Okay.
So you head back with the body of the little girl in your arms, and when you return with the news, the crooked kin are devastated. The bearded lady starts crying, and the Mwangi man, whose stage name, by the way, is the Human Caterpillar, tries to comfort her, but has a hard time doing so. Even the three clowns have tear up a little bit, and eventually it is Caleb who takes the body from your arm, and he says, we were afraid that was her fate. She would have come back earlier if she could. Thank you for giving us certainty, though. And he steps away for a little bit, puts the body down in one of their wagons for now, and then comes back out again, holding a dagger. And he says, offers it to you, and he says, there's not much that we have, but we once were gifted this to protect us on our travels through the Shadowwood. I guess it's only fair to pass it on to you as a reward for your kind service.
Evelyn steps forward with, tears welling slightly in her eyes, and she reaches out her hands and kind of gently takes the dagger from him, and she says, "Thank you so much for this most gracious gift, and when we take it and use it, we shall remember this poor girl. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for all of you. Everything that's happened. I'm sure your lives are difficult enough as it is. You need not face such horrors as these. But nonetheless, we were glad to do what little we could, and we shall accept this token graciously."
Thank you, Caleb says. Not just for what you did, but also for your kind words. I wish there was anything else we could offer to you, but I mean, I guess none of you need a pet, do you?
Well, actually,
Depends what kind of pet you're talking about.
does it fit in a bottle?
A
Can it pull a
bottle?
carriage?
Can you fetch the Birdman? He says to the Flea Man, and he kind of, with a sort of hopping gait, walks off into one of the wagons and comes back with a creature that is maybe something around 3 feet tall, and it looks like a black cockatoo with a strange skin disease that made all the hair on his head and neck fall out. And the skin that's left, or not the hair, the feathers, the skin that's left has a sort of sickly purplish reddish hue. And every now and then he squeaks, "Flüstert, flüstert." And Caleb says, "This is the Birdman. He's been with our troop for some time, but I'm afraid that he freaks out our audience a little bit too much, in the wrong way. There's a good way to freak people out, and I mean, I don't wish to burden you with. I don't even know why I'm offering you to him. I mean, I don't think you really want a bird like that. I'm sorry."
It looks like me with feathers.
Well, it does look like a bald vulture. I mean, almost like you, Geier.
And the bird looks up and cocks his head and looks straight at Geier, and he goes, flüstert, flüstert. And he hops over.
What does that word mean?
Caleb says, "Nobody knows, really. Is it even a word, or is it just a sound? Oh, only the Birdman knows."
Does he say anything else?
I don't think he does. Well, maybe he just doesn't want to.
Oh.
Well,
well.
That's fine by me. If he doesn't mind my company, I don't mind its company.
Well, I mean, if Geier takes care of it, I guess we might keep it.
Really? Caleb says, almost seeming a little relieved. Well, then of course, I'd be happy to hand him over to you, and I'm sure he will have a good home with you.
What do you feed him?
Well, he'll have a caring home, but good, I don't know if that I can provide, but I'll take good care of the little fella.
Yeah, what do you feed him? This is kind of important things when you transfer a pet.
Carrion, I suppose.
Well, he kind of does look like someone who feeds on carrion.
Yeah, he eats small vermin of any kind, really. He does like him dead.
Well, then, I suppose there'll be enough of that in Lepidstadt.
Say, you wouldn't mind if I changed its name, would you?
Oh, he never listened to that name anyway.
Well, I think he looks more like a Yorick. I think I'll call him Yorick.
Well, I guess that name is as good as any for him. I'm sure he won't respond to it.
That's all right.
Anyway, it is getting very dark. We would like to mourn the loss of one of our own, but of course, you're invited to stay with us for the night, unless your plan is to keep going and get to Lipidstad.
Well, I
by
would like to
midnight.
conduct the funeral rites, if that's all right by you. Put the girl
We
to
have a
rest.
way to take care of our own. Thank you. That will not be
Understand.
necessary.
In that case, I think we might continue on our way.
Do you think it would be wise to spend the night here?
Well,
can we
there's-
still make Lepidstadt by nightfall?
with the coach and those good horses, you couldn't make it by nightfall, but you could certainly make it by midnight. But with those wagons they have that are pulled by nags, there's no way that they make it by midnight. They would need to wait until the morning. I mean, we really don't have an option, he says in response to Emaírel's question.
Well, I guess at least we have plenty of people to keep watch around.
Oh, so you will be staying with us? Well, that is great news.
It may be safer here than on the road late at night.
I will clear out a wagon for you, so you will have a comfortable place to stay.
We do have a wagon, though.
Oh, you have a coach, but
No, the coach, yeah.
yeah, that's not as comfortable as a covered wagon, I would guess, when it comes to sleeping.
You need not clear any space for me. I provide my own traveling accommodation.
All right. So you spent the night with the Crooked Kin, and you get to know them a little more. Of course, they are all still sad about the passing of one of their own, but they're all also used to tragedy in some sort or another. Obviously, they've faced quite some hardship in their lives due to their various deformities. But you, in the short time you get to spend with them, you realize that all of them have a pretty impressive optimism in themselves, and the strength of character that they draw from each other's company. They're a very tight community that have found each other. And I'm gonna have to check on Frida real quick, and then I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll be right back as well then.
Hey, I got a bird.
Maybe.
Yeah, that
So I
whole
missed
Birdman thing
it.
is a bit scary. You might turn into a person at some point.
All right, I'm already back. was not very
Oh.
much.
So
Yeah.
I missed a little bit there. So did we figure out what was it that called us? Could it have been the spider?
We saw no additional. Evelyn did go try to investigate a little further into the woods and didn't see any signs of what it could have been.
Okay. During the campfire conversations, Caleb also takes some time to explain to you in greater detail what that dagger is supposed to do. They never had to give it a try, but from his explanation, you figure out that it works as a +1 humanoid shape changer bane dagger.
Ooh. Anyone want to fight some werewolves?
Hopefully we won't have to.
The next day, you get ready for traveling again. The troop, I mean, they're a caravan of 9 wagons. They will travel at a much slower speed than you could in your coach. And Caleb sort of insists that you make your journey by at your own pace, and says that they'll be fine by themselves. They're making it all over Ustalav, and rarely anything bad happens, and no need to worry about them. And he'll see you in Lepidstad soon. So you find yourselves back on the road early the next morning, but the night still lingers even when the sun is already out, with the thick canopy of the shadowwood. And it takes a while until you get out of the woods and cross the river into Feeland, the county of which Lepidstad is the capital. And as soon as you come into the outskirts of Lepidstad itself, you realize that something big is going down in town. There are a lot of people in the streets. It seems like people are already pouring into the city. Not in droves, but certainly in a number that is odd for the mostly very quiet Ustalav, where people don't really tend to travel that much. And as you make your way into the city proper, you learn why. When a town crier walks past and yells, "Bürgers of Lepidstadt, rejoice! The beast has been captured. Soon the abomination will be tried for crimes against the good people of Feeland. The punishing man now rises in the square outside the courthouse. The logs have been stacked against his flanks, and the oil has seeped into his veins. The punishing man waits to take his passenger into the depths of hell, and soon he shall have his feast. Burgers of Lepidstadt, rejoice." As he walks past, you hear him repeat his message over and over again.
Beast of Olympus? Seriously? Yeah, Arronax is very incredulous about this news. But he tries to prioritize things, and getting a good night's sleep, better good night's sleep, a bath, and fresh clothes takes priority over the Beast of Lepidstadt. Yes.
So where are you going? In Lepidstadt.
Could you hear me? My mic was up.
Yeah, we heard you.
We heard you.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Sorry.
I suppose we'll be looking for some sort of accommodations for starters. I need somewhere to stable the horses and store the coach.
So, Simon, since many of us were picked the Lipstadt as our hometown. What would count as our accommodations? I mean, could we say that we have an apartment or our own lodging somewhere, or we will pay for it as anyone?
Well, I know that Geier has a shack at the
Grave charge.
graveyard. The doctor probably, while he was in residence at the university, would have university housing. But since I don't know if you're on a sabbatical or if you not working.
Yes. Well, technically he is as he achieved his doctorate, he technically is no longer with the university.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
So he probably doesn't have a
yeah,
room anymore.
He's on his own, and so he would probably will have to
Yeah.
get his own lodging.
Yes. So that basically leaves you with the option of shacking up in Gravecharge or finding a proper inn.
Evelyn's looking for an inn.
Yeah, I thought so.
Hotel, preferably, if there's such a thing.
Yeah, the shack is tiny, so no guests.
Yeah. Well, Lipstadt is a small city, so there's no super fancy hotels or anything like that. But you can certainly find a good inn with a good suite that would hold all four of yours if you want.
What are there any table for pricing of renting an actual house like there was in Corvosa?
No, unfortunately, Lippstadt is not as well documented as Corvosa was, but I mean, if you want to rent a house,
yeah, because Doctor will most surely will rent a house because he plans or at least was planning to live in there for an extended period of time. Well, in fact, he probably were renting a house after getting out of the university, and he left it after moving to Ravengrove for a month.
Well, but getting everything done to rent a house and stuff like that's probably going to take more time
Well, yeah, okay.
than I would assume you have right now. Your best bet for accommodation that is both comfortable and spacious enough to hold all of you would be to find an inn that rents out a suite.
Yeah, that for now this will do.
How much is a suite per day?
An average suite is 16 gold pieces. A small suite would be 4 gold pieces. A small suite means that it small suite is just 1 bedroom. Average suite is 2 bedrooms. And you can even find a luxurious suite, but that's 32 gold pieces, and that would have 4 bedrooms.
32 per
night.
Damn.
That's quite a lot, even with our just rewards. But it will take quite a bite. But I suppose at least for a couple of days we can manage an expensive suite. Even we can find one with 2 bedrooms, I suppose, right? Since Geier has his own shack, so he at least will be sleeping home today.
Oh, if Geier won't be staying with us, I suppose I can make do with the average suite if you two gentlemen are willing to share a room.
Yeah, of course, we've been sharing a house for a month. We're practically family now.
Can't believe I'm going to miss you, sorry lot.
So how many days total was that journey? Was that 2 days?
2.5, yeah.
Okay, I just need to figure out how much I have to pay my servants.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spend like half the day finding accommodations, and you you make arrangements to meet again after everyone found a place to stay. At which of your destinations? Because you have two basic destinations that you wanted to go to or that you were asked to go to in Lippstadt. Return the books and get your stipend.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, but yeah,
Or more precisely, go to the judge or go to the university.
First of all, Dr. Arronax will go to the marketplace and procure himself, some new clothes. He probably will stop on military surplus to buy uniform leather boots and a jacket and a hat. Well, basically, he will buy an analog of soldier's uniform, except, well, with military designations stripped off.
So it's like some sturdy outdoor clothes,
Yeah.
like an explorer's outfit.
A soldier's uniform.
Well, I mean, it has sturdy boots, a good leather breeches. I mean, it looks respectable, not just like some traveler's clothes with shaggy wool pants and
Yeah.
some cloak, you know.
So that's around 10 gold pieces.
Evelyn will be wearing one of her noble's outfits, so that she's appropriately attired for either occasion, with her stiletto boots and the parasol to keep the sun off of her fair skin.
She's
Yeah,
even on the picture, in the picture.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's sort of got that look about her.
Yes, I mean, Simon, uniform is 1 gold piece.
No, that's a uniform, but you can't just buy a uniform. I mean,
I can't? Well,
that's
I mean,
not
They
no,
don't sell
that's
them
not
to
how
anyone. You have to be a
Yeah,
soldier.
you have to go and subscribe if you want to.
I mean, come on, I
And
started
sturdy boots. It's also a weird way to get the exact same thing. That's an explorer's outfit for 1/10 of the price. So let's just go with the explorer's outfit.
Oh, right, let's buy an explorer's outfit.
I don't even know where that's from, the soldier's uniform.
Pizio Ultimate Equipment. It's
Huh. Well, yeah. Let's go with the core rulebook version of it, which is the explorer's outfit.
It's so much more expensive.
Well, I have no.
Microtransactions.
Exactly.
Okay,
It's
so
been-
where do you make arrangements to meet again?
Emaírel is tempted to deliver the books first.
Well, you deliver books in both cases. I did not really make that clear. Most of the books go to the university, but one book goes to the judge.
Oh.
Which is which? Which one for the judge?
The manual of the Order of the Palatine Eye goes to the judge, and all the other books
Okay.
go to the university.
Well, let's start with, I don't know, the bulk of the books, maybe.
Yeah, let's start with university. It's been quite a time since Arronax was in his alma mater, so it would be a good excuse to laugh at the face of his rivals, you know, and do other sciencey things.
Oh, I haven't seen the university in decades. I wonder how it's changed.
I can assure you, Lady Evelyn, it hasn't changed at all.
Okay, so you want to meet back up at the university?
Mhm.
Okay. Even those of you that haven't been there before, the university is quite easy to find, and you meet in front of the university's main building, and then from there inquire about your contact, Dr. Crowell. You'll need to gather information with a diplomacy check because not everyone knows him.
Yeah. This time I would have said that. Oh, I've been working in university, so sure, of course I know him, but I have diplomacy +0, so.
But Evelyn's charms manage to get directions fairly quickly, and she learns that the professor has somewhat of an eccentric reputation, which makes him sort of well known for someone in an obscure faculty that he's in, particularly in light of the recent theft from his department that famously led to the capture of the dreaded beast of Lippstadt, who now sits on trial.
Curious.
They captured the beast.
I'm sorry, theft. What theft
Someone
was
stole
this?
from the university.
Yeah, you don't really learn what was stolen, but something was stolen from the antiquities department, which is where you're pointed to. And once you get there, you're greeted by the sight of several builders and craftsmen working to repair the damage to the antiquities department that must have been caused by the beast during the theft. Dr. Crowell is overseeing the repairs, and he's doing so in a way that if you were the craftsman, it would probably annoy you a lot, because he is constantly popping up behind them, giving them unsolicited pointers and advice, waving his arms about, scratching his head, reacting very strongly to any single thing they do, but not in a mean way or anything. He's just really worried about everything, and you can tell that he's really really intensely connected to his work and his department. No, this is walnut wood. You can't just use any sort of no, please don't hammer that. Oh my goodness, you're gonna ruin 100-year-old bookshelf. That's
At this point, Arronax will clear his throat, trying to attract attention. Dr. Crow, I presume.
And Dr. Kroll turns around, white-haired man in his late 50s, probably early 60s. And he says, I'm sorry, the antiquities department is closed until further notice, I'm afraid. We will have to bring order to this mess here before we can start up our regular class load.
Well, we perfectly understand, Doctor, but we're here not as your students, of course. In fact, I'm already graduated a long time ago, but but we're here with an envelope from Professor Lorrimore, if you know this name.
Lorrimore? Of course I know. My dear old friend. What news do you have for me?
If you haven't heard, it's very I have very sad news that Petros Lorrimore had left this world not too long ago. Well, So we
He has. Yeah, he says, and he's obviously saddened by that news. I'm sorry to hear that. I was looking forward to meet him next year at the honorary lecture. Well,
that is unfortunate, yes, but Professor went out doing his favorite work, so the least we can do is not to mourn him for too long. But among his last will, he asked us to deliver this to you, and well, he will give him the books.
Petros, always returning his books. Yes, thank you
Even in the
for,
afterlife.
indeed, thank you for returning those to me. I didn't even remember that he checked them out, but it must have been 20 years ago now, I think. Well, I guess I'm not going to charge him for the late fees. Thank you. And he accepts the books. And thank you for letting me know. And then he kind of tries to move away from you, thinking that the conversation's over.
Seems like the conversation may be over. I don't think Evelyn wouldn't be asking any questions of this guy.
About the attack.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. There's hardly anything has been stolen, and I think we will be back in operation soon.
And you saw it. You saw the beast.
Yes, of course. Well, not me personally, no, but our guards did. Yeah. They were the ones who arrested it.
Arrested
It
it?
allowed itself to be arrested.
Oh,
Thought it would have fought to
It looks.
the bitter end.
I mean, it looks like there's a story behind this, huh?
well, I mean, look around.
Yeah.
It clearly put up a fight.
What interest could the beast have in the university?
What interest anyone could? I mean, what could possibly be stolen from such a place? I wonder. I mean, it did, yeah.
He shrugs and he says, I have to admit I quite don't understand myself how an innocent department like ours would become the focus of the attention of a vile creature like that. I mean, there has been a lot of cleaning up already taken place around here, but if you're willing to, if you want to take a look around, I'd be happy to indulge you.
Well,
If you don't mind, or
of course. I mean, why not?
I do not disturb your workers.
Yeah, it's. In fact, it's been years since I were in any kind of university. So, please give us a tour. It would be like coming home.
So Doctor, with your permission, and Geier will start looking around.
Okay. So he leads you around the scene, and he leads you to the back of the department, and he says, so we believe that this is obviously where it broke in, and then it passed through the auditorium here, all the way over to the workshop over there. I personally locked the back door at night, like I do every night, and it is a very good lock that we use for this purpose because some of our items are in fact quite valuable, not just to us, but in terms of gold. And yeah, as you look at what he's pointing out, you see the back door itself. It's a 1-inch thick iron door. It's currently locked with a makeshift padlock, and only crude repairs have been made as of yet. The the wooden door leading from the back door foyer into the auditorium has been broken off its hinges. And the same has happened to the far door leading to the workshop. It's just been knocked out, like by some really large force. The
Damn.
auditorium itself is paneled in oak and contains a sunken 5-foot deep central area lined with books, tribal fetishes, and curiosities. The small stage and lectern that stand in the center of the area are edged with a low oak rail that's worn smooth from the touch of years of students gazing into the master's lecture room below. The high-ceilinged workshop/library is lined with mostly empty shelves, and a trio of great leaded windows looks out over the university lawn. A staggering array of books, scrolls, maps, and curios, including shrunken heads, tribal masks, and bits of pottery, lie scattered all over the floor, apparently pulled from the shelves.
You cut off there.
Where?
Bits of pulp.
Bits what? Bits of pottery lie scattered all over the floor, apparently pulled from the shelves. The room is otherwise crowded with overturned tables, desks, and cabinets.
Geier will inspect the pottery closely. That seems to
while-
be the area with the most damage, isn't it?
Not necessarily. I mean, there's damage all over the place.
Yeah, and
Give me a perception check.
Yeah, he's
Geier?
doing like
Oh, there it is, 22. Yeah, there's damage all over the place, except, as you notice, one area in the room appears to be untouched, in stark contrast to the damage that you see everywhere else in the department. There's a pedestal that's crowded with small fetishes and delicate mother-of-pearl fish carvings that are undamaged.
fish carving.
Fish
Hey.
carvings.
Emaírel, Professor. Emaírel, Doctor. Look at this. It's not been damaged. Surprising that something survived this storm.
well, there might be any number of reasons. It could be ensorcelled or enchanted, or maybe it was below notice of the rampaging beast.
I think it hardly unlike it.
I must say, I know nothing about fish carvings, let alone pearls. So,
If we take a closer look,
Yeah, go ahead. Inspected, perception check.
Yeah.
Emaírel,
And-
15.
meanwhile,
While they're doing that, Evelyn will be talking to, asking questions of Professor Crawl when they're done.
yeah, and
So, Emaírel, you notice that there's an empty spot on that pedestal, and there's a little name tag that's still there that says Sea Sage Effigy. But the item itself is missing.
and
so
meanwhile,
something
Arronax,
was taken, but carefully.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
and Arronax meanwhile will muse aloud. Doesn't the university have spellcasters in its employ? I mean,
Well, I'm sure they do. I mean, that's how the alarm went off. This place was warded by an expertly crafted alarm spell.
of course, I mean, uh, would they be able to help you to repair this damage? I mean, it probably will be a matter of a couple of make whole spells, isn't it?
But you can't just use that's preposterous notion that you would just use magic to. No, this is a place of science and careful restoration of the past through antiquities. We can't just cast some spells, wave our hands around, and return everything to normal. That's not how it works.
Of course, of course. Not that my expertise has anything to do with this, but yeah, of course, I wouldn't be saying how to do your job, Professor. It'd be wildly out of place for me, even if I was to be right.
Professor, what exactly was stolen from your department? I see exceptional amount of damage, but what's missing exactly? I heard that it was a theft, not a vandalism.
Yes, for whatever reason, the only item we're missing is the sea sage effigy. A little statue was sitting right over there on the pedestal where your friends are admiring those wonderful mother of pearl carvings.
And have you any idea why this might have been stolen and nothing else?
If only I did. We don't even know what it really is. We don't know where it came from originally, but we know that it's been part of our collection for many, many years. It hasn't been recorded though who donated it or who obtained it. It's really not much to talk about, to be honest. It's physically it's a murky green statuette. It's depicting a grotesque creature that's writhing with tentacles. I have to admit that I found the effigy quite. What is that?
Oh, sorry. I've been looking up Mother of Pearl on Google, and well, this came up.
Yeah.
So the effigy disturbed you?
In fact, I found it quite fascinating. It appeared to be an anomaly, you see. It's an idol of some sort, but that did not seem to correlate to the worship of any known divine being. Among well, it's just us. I suspect that this statuette depicts something only whispered of in the ancient legends of Golarion. Some sort of creature from the mysterious dark tapestry, maybe. Anyway, it's just idle speculation. I don't have any proof or anything to back this up, so I will. But just for now, I just hope that its distinct appearance will make it easy to recover, and I expect that it will show up soon. I don't think anybody will find a place to sell it.
Yeah, Arronax will scoff at the notion of it being some kind of actual deity depicted, because obviously it's just a silly superstition of a tribal man who would know a real deity from a spirit, you know.
Do you have any idea, Professor, why the beast would be after this artifact in particular?
I have no idea. And what's even more curious is that the beast was arrested right here, rampaging through the workshop, but it didn't have the statue on it.
Have you seen any signs that there may have been more than just the beast involved in the break-in. Perhaps somebody else came with it.
You see what a mess this place is, and you're welcome to take a closer look at anything you see here. But so far, we have no reason to believe that the beast worked with anyone. And
And yet, the path of destruction seems to be fairly direct, is it not?
absolutely,
came-
yes. It almost seems like it made a beeline quite straight to the effigy.
Is there any reason why the beast would know the layout of this antiquities department? And isn't it some wild thing that preys on people in the dark alley?
It most certainly is, and you're asking all the right questions, but I'm afraid I don't have any answers for you.
Perhaps we should try and have a conversation with the beast.
Does it,
Evelyn's
can it-
trying to.
can it even speak?
Good luck with that. It's currently held at the courthouse, and I don't think that anyone who's not doing official business is going to be allowed to talk to it.
So it speaks.
Well, yes, it has a rudimentary intelligence. It's a murderous intent, and makes it even worse.
Oh, so that's why they're giving it a trial, right? And if it wasn't intelligent, they probably would have. Well,
Yes,
it would have been
this-
over rather quickly.
Of course, I mean, Leopoldstadt is a place of reason and civility, and
Yeah,
of course it deserves a trial.
It's only natural if intelligent creatures should be held responsible for its action, even if it is
Precisely. I mean, we all know how it's going to end, but it should still get a trial.
Professor, that figurine, was it like a lone item, or was it a part of any sort of set?
If it was a part of any larger set, I wouldn't know of any other pieces that belonged to it. And like I said, we don't even know who acquired it and where it came from. So I'm afraid that is just another question mark that I have to keep hanging.
You seem to have some rather daring theories about this icon. It seems that it's been on your mind at least somewhat. But was there anybody else at the university who ever expressed interest in it or studied it?
You see, my colleagues find my ideas and my theories about the void between the stars a little. I think the technical term they use is kooky, and I rarely get to discuss my ideas with someone who takes them seriously. You know, Petros actually was one of the few who would engage in this sort of discussion.
Oh, I certainly understand how you feel, Doctor. When I first came up with a theory of enlarging chickens, I was ridiculed as well. But, well, look at me now. And Arronax, well,
What are you talking about? You're still being ridiculed.
well, but now I can explode people for it.
I think our predicaments are slightly different, Doctor.
Well, of course, you're still stuck in university, and I'm really sorry for it. But
So who can we talk to
Yes.
about this theory?
What theory?
The between the stars.
No, I just like I said, it's just amusing. I have since it, like I said, it does not correlate to any known divine beings. I think it wouldn't be too far-fetched to assume that it depicts an unknown being, and we
Well,
know
perhaps
of the
we could-
standing stones all over Feeland that have been raised by our Kelid predecessors, and we know that they worshipped dark and vile gods. Maybe this is just a remnant of that time.
Well, perhaps we could assist your research somehow. There might be something in this that explains.
I'm afraid I don't have the means nor the inclination to hire amateurs to help me with my studies, and I'm also not one for field work. I've left that behind a long time ago. I'm perfectly happy just trying to get this department back to where it was before that vile creature smashed it all into bits. But I thank you for taking those books back to me and for bringing me the sad news of my old friend. Feel free to look around some more if you like. I see that they're about to put a nail into an original mahogany wood panel on the wall. I can't. I have to go over there. I'm sorry.
Of
And
course.
he rushes off.
Yes. We will not delay you any further. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
So he leaves you behind in that mess of a workshop.
Well, that's a certainly curious case.
Did everything he say seem to be honest and make sense with that 10 cents motive?
Yeah, it did. He seemed very calm about it, even when he talked about those outrageous theories. He seemed very sincere about it.
Hmm. Well, is there any need to linger here further, or should we continue conducting our business?
Did Geier detect any kind of magic?
Only from your own equipment, nothing else.
Well, with this done, I think Lepidstadt will be in a jolly mood the next couple of days with the trial. Poor beast.
Oh well, but
Poor beast? Poor.
well, I mean,
You don't
given
think it was the beast's fault, was it?
well, I'm fairly sure Beast has more than enough things going for it to be guilty of something.
Oh, of course, but who's not guilty of something? The matter of what I'm talking about is being guilty for the right thing.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm not really sure what they are indicting with, or what's the word? In, indicting him with. So,
Oh, come on, Doctor, don't be so naive. Do you think a beast would walk into the university to steal a very specific item? A beast that, according to all accounts, can barely form a sentence.
well, I
But
mean,
sure, of course.
I mean,
It knew the layout perfectly well and managed to find the items straight away because
well,
the
okay, I would.
beast apparently attended the university.
First of all, I've
Uh,
seen some people attending this university who would give this beast quite a credit. Second, second of all, I'm not exactly arguing that the beast actually stole some the idol, but since all evidence points that it didn't, so if they accuse him of stealing it, it would be wrong. And but I'm fairly sure they can give it at least many cases of grievous bodily harm and murder.
Yeah, and they'll kill the beast for punishment, and whoever was behind the crime will live to try it again someday. But
Geier,
of course, it's the beast who takes the blame, isn't it?
Geier, have you some familiarity with this beast? I mean, I've only heard legends myself about some monstrosity terrorizing citizens, slaying stray animals, harming livestock, the occasional vagrant going missing. You seem to have an awful affinity for such a thing.
Well, not so much familiarity with the beast as familiarity with the people of Lepidstadt. Anything that's not human and not pretty is a beast by default. Everything that scares them is problematic. So yeah, if they are quick to pass judgment and punishment, then I have no sympathy for them, and have more sympathy for a creature that's been framed.
And what of the rumors? Actually, how much do I know about the beast, Simon?
Knowledge local is a 15. Well, you know basically what everyone knows. That the beast is a terrible creature that stalks the swamps outside of Lippstadt, and it kills indiscriminately, probably for food, and it sometimes finds its way into the city for whatever reasons, and mostly at night to terrorize the innocent people of the city. And so that's what everyone says, and the beast is sort of blamed for anything and everything that happens. But yeah, but the way that it's described never really made sense to you in its totality, because people like to describe it as a almost feral animal-like creature, and then in other instances they give him credit for fairly complicated ambush tactics or more strategic sort of situations that don't really all fit together.
Okay.
Yeah, see?
Mm-hmm.
Blamed
Well,
for
he's
everything.
certainly being blamed for something rather complicated here. But nevertheless, I'm surprised to hear your sympathies. But I suppose it makes sense in a way. I suppose you may have some things in common.
I guess so, but not particularly the kind of beast that would leave his swamp for a casual visit to the university, is all I'm saying. Sympathy or not.
Well,
I just
in,
think there's something foul about this.
in any case, we have another delivery to make, so maybe Judge Dermot can cast some light on this case for us, so we can have a good chat with him.
Okay, so you all move to the address that you were given by Kendra to Judge Daramid's house.
Mm-hmm.
And where is she? There she is. And she opens the door for you, and before you stands a woman in her 60s with gray hair pulled back tightly into a bun and piercing icy blue eyes. She has a quite stern demeanor to her, and as she musters you one by one, she says, "Yes, how can I help you?"
Emaírel is going to step forward and pull out the strange tome, which he has been carrying around for a while.
She sees the book, raises an eyebrow, looks at Emaírel.
And he is going to tell her, favor this brevity, so we are here to return this as part of the will of Professor Lorrimore.
So she looks from Emaírel to everyone else, and then back to Emaírel. And then says, "I see. Come on in." And she invites you in. She lives in a fine townhouse, and it's the insides are decorated with art, all manners of tasteful paintings of Ustalavic scenery mostly. And in a drawing room, she asks you to sit down, takes the tome from Emaírel, puts it on the table, on a little side table next to her seat, and she says, she pauses for a moment, and you can tell that that it's hard for her, and she says, I didn't know he died.
It was very sudden and very unexpected for all of us.
Well, he was pursuing his life's work, and as such, it was a risky occupation that finally caught up with him, sadly.
You could say
I
he
see.
perished in line of duty.
Mm-hmm.
It has
Well-
been over a month since his funeral, however. Am I to understand that no correspondence has been sent from Ravengro to here in that time?
I was not aware of any funeral arrangements. Of course, I would have come if. It's typical Petros. He probably just wouldn't want me to witness that sad event. It's just he just always had to protect everyone around him from themselves if he had to. Anyway, he's always been a very planful man, though. And she gets up and walks over to a very sturdy cabinet and unlocks it and opens it, and then unlocks something behind that door that you can't really see from where you are, and she returns with a larger bag, puts it gently on the table, then sits back in her chair and says, he had made some arrangements for a situation like this. He had promised me to return that book when his time was up, and he had asked me to hold on to this for whoever brings those books. So I'm assuming this is yours now.
I would guess so.
Politely, Arronax will accept the bag and look inside.
Must be like 400 platinum pieces in there.
Well, this looks like what he Professor written in his last will. So it looks like you're right.
He certainly seems to be a man with many contingencies, including those for his own demise.
Yes, Petros was always. He had always been intrigued by layered problems, as he liked to call them, and he was always spinning webs of his own with his theories and.
Speaking of problems with many layers and convoluted webs, we heard about the beast of Lippstadt.
And you can see her kind of snap out of her mourning and her sadness a little bit, and it turns into more of an angered demeanor, and she says, that is and it is an utter disgrace. It is terrible how that creature is treated in the face of the law. They're not even going to pretend to give him a fair trial. They've appointed that Gustav Kappel, that entirely useless third-tier lawyer to his defense. It doesn't even stand a chance.
Yeah, Arronax
Stuff
will.
capital.
Yeah. Arronax, meanwhile, will make a politely curious expression and say, "I must admit, since it's been months since we've been out in town, we know next to nothing about this situation. So, what exactly is the beast is accused of?"
What isn't it accused of, to put it simply? It's you see, the beast of Lippstadt has been blamed by the burghers of Lippstadt for all their ills. Murders, thefts, and terror have all been attributed to it, but I know from my experience in the court that many of those stories are exaggerations or just simply untrue. And I also know that some people have quite different stories to tell about the creature, about kindness and humanity, how it helped to rescue loved ones or helped those in distress.
That is
And
very
now
curious.
that the time has arrived for such kindness to be repaid, however, no one dares to step forward and challenge the beast's reputation. They're all just cheering the burning man, hoping the punishing man, hoping that it'll light up soon. It's just a disgrace.
Speaking of,
It's,
I've been hearing all manners of stories about the beast of Lippstadt, like many of citizens of the city, of course, but I don't think I actually seen it myself. So what actually was it? What the beast turned out to be in reality?
Exactly what's been on my mind.
well, it's a huge man-like creature. It has wild hair and furious eyes and a terrifying sneer on its face. It towers even the tallest men easily by another foot or two. And it's quite a terrifying impression, that's for sure. But I still don't think that it did any of these crimes that it was, or that they lay at its feet now. I don't think they are setting it up to receive a fair trial.
Is there anything we can do to maybe help with that?
Well, I guess if Petros trusted you, I might as well be inclined to trust you.
Oh, we're very
I-
trustworthy.
Yeah,
You see,
especially Lady
I
Evelyn.
have several suspicions about the cases that the beast is facing, starting with how it got arrested. I mean, this break-in and the theft at the university. Are you aware of that? Have you heard about that already?
Oh yes, we have spoken to the professor ourselves not so long ago.
You
He seems to
did?
be- yeah, he seems to be very involved in his
I
work.
see. He does. But from what I've gathered, and I'm not sure if you draw the same conclusions, but I find it highly doubtful that a creature like the beast that is intelligent, despite what some people might want to say, knowingly enters the university where it was certain to be trapped. It must have known. But I can't say suspicions like this publicly, because that would be both professionally and politically be a great risk for myself. I'm one of the 3 justices presiding over the beast's trial, so I can't openly intervene. I can just insist that the beast be properly defended in court, and I don't think that Herr Kappe is going to do that. What I need is a group of people without bias to uncover the real truth about the beast and its crimes.
Well, that is something that certainly interests me.
Well, it certainly would be a nice mental exercise. While we
Well,
will be
I'm afraid
resettling.
it will take more. I'm afraid it will take more than just mental strength. The barrister is appointed, and there is no way for me to change that. But I know that he is hopelessly in over his head and needs help. And if you were going to try and do that, stand up in court to be questioned by the prosecution, you would not just need bravery, but silver tongues to match, because there's more to the beast's story. But people will have to listen to those details for justice to be done. And if the beast turns out to be guilty, then at least I can rest easier at night knowing that I gave it a fair trial. In fact, I can offer you to double your bequest from Petros if you investigate this on my behalf, on the beast's behalf. Of course, you will have to keep me out of the equation. I cannot help you in this investigation in any way, and I will not threaten my position.
Then on the beast's behalf, at least I personally will look into this matter.
You
How
said
about the rest of you?
you said you would double, so another 400 platinum pieces each.
That was 400 for all of you. It was
Oh,
100
I'm sorry.
each.
Yeah, another 400 platinum pieces.
If that's what it takes, yes.
Yeah, Arronax
Well,
keeps silent for the longest time, trying to massage the situation in his mind to sound less extreme.
Is there any place you would suggest we begin our investigation?
Well, like I said, I cannot help you in this investigation in any way. I will only point out that by Lepidstadt law, a defendant can have more than one defender. So if anyone was to register with the court clerks as a volunteer defender for the beast, they would be introduced to his named defender and able to offer their assistance.
well, I've been told that I have a way with words, and I have no fear staking my reputation upon my word. I am, well, whatever it counts for, I am still a noble woman, and my name has some weight.
Hmm.
Then you'll join. Doctor, Emaírel, what about you two?
Well, it is a very captivating story about the sea sage idol. So yeah, I am very interested in getting to the bottom of.
And I, to be honest, would be very interested in actually taking a look at the beast itself. So
I am pleased to hear that, she says, and gets up. But at this point, I'm afraid that I will have to cut our conversation short, because I would not like to even raise the slightest suspicion that I have influenced your investigation in any way.
of course.
Of course. Now, I was wondering if we cannot take any time at the moment, if perhaps we might meet again some other time. I did have some other questions for you about the book that we delivered. I'd done some thumbing through the tomes while we traveled. Would Emaírel have actually? I should ask this. Would Emaírel have let Evelyn look at the books that we delivered?
Yeah,
Although
Okay.
I think the Book of Paladin was closed on a lock that we were unable to crack.
Yeah.
Right.
that's fair.
Exactly. So Evelyn says that I did thumb through some of the tomes that we delivered to the university, and they were dour, no doubt, but none piqued my interest quite so much as the one that is now in your possession. I'm curious what good a book that cannot be read does to anyone.
Of course, I'd be happy to talk to you about any of those scholarly discussions once the trial is over, but until then, I'm afraid that even something unrelated might be constructed into me trying to influence this investigation. So I would prefer to postpone this conversation until after the trial is over.
As you wish, then. Where should I go to register with the clerk as a volunteer defendant?
You can register at the courthouse itself, and she describes how to get there.
Okay.
So you take your leave, and as you leave, she shakes each of your hand, and you can tell that she's grateful, and it's taking her some restraint to express that even further. So she seems to be very disciplined about the whole situation, and says, "Thank you again for looking into this. I sure hope that there is something for you to find and prove the beast's innocence. But in order to find, you must seek first, I think is how the saying goes, or something similar. And again, thank you." And then she closes the door, and you find yourselves out in the streets of Lepidstadt again.
Well, we got one more delivery to make. Then we can do your registration, Evelyn.
Which delivery was that?
The last book.
That was the last book.
Oh.
I suppose the only thing left to do is to bury the blunderbuss the crow left us. But
And register. We can do the burial at night. I can take care of that with your help. But during the daytime, I think it would be wisest to make the most of the light that we have. And become involved with the law.
time to subvert some justice.
So you head over to the courthouse.
Yes.
Which is over here. And come on. Okay. And the courthouse is a large, squat building dominated by an enormous clock that overlooks the town square. A huge figure of wood, roughly man-shaped, stands in the square in front of the building. There are already, even though the trial is certainly not going to end anytime soon, there are already people out here talking about burning the beast and looking forward to the spectacle. And you can overhear them talk about the trial that's to come and about the beast's foul deeds and stuff like that. But I would assume you push your way through to the main entrance of the courthouse, which must have been designed as some sort of fortification, it seems. It's built of dark stone with walls of reinforced masonry. It's 3 stories high, narrow, open windows only a foot wide. The exterior doors are strong wooden doors, and it just, all in all, is just a very impressive and sturdy building. The punishing man, standing right outside of the courthouse, is a gigantic man-shaped conglomeration of cut timber, standing over 30 feet tall. The ones of you who've been to Lepidstadt before know that convicted criminals are placed within the figure's hollow chest cavity and then the entire structure is set on fire in a public ceremony.
As any civilized court would do. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Would the flesh golem fit in there? Well, we don't know how large it is. Never mind.
It's a 30-foot high statue, so you're fairly certain that anything would fit in there that you would be able to try in the courthouse.
Well, that's rather grim.
Well, it's
No matter, if we do our part, then perhaps it will go unused.
hopefully the last time it was used, the smell was retching. Do we know when the last time it was used, by the way?
You don't remember ever? You haven't attended any burning ceremony, so you don't remember when the last one was.
Then okay. Then it's not probably.
Probably in the revolutionary times. At the very least, in the revolutionary times.
Yeah, we can at least
Some 50 years
that,
ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so you head into the courthouse. I'll give you the floor plan of the courthouse over here. And so, like I said, it's 3 stories, and then there's a basement too. And A1 would be the entrance area, the main entrance, where ornate pillars support a balcony that's 15 feet above. And beneath the balcony, wide steps lead up to the huge iron-bound door. Printed public notices are posted on a wooden board next to the door, looking for, minor criminals and giving the next events that are going to happen at the courthouse. And of course, it also announces the trial of the beast itself, which is supposed to start the day after. The trial itself is described in long-winded legal language, and it's really hard to understand what exactly is going to happen next, but you do know that whatever it is going to start tomorrow.
Is there anything else interesting in the message board there? The bulletin board?
No, that's what is interesting to you and what is intelligible to you, because there's just so much legalese on that. Through the doors, you enter into the next entry room, which provides access to most of the other rooms on the courthouse's ground floor. There's also a heavy iron trapdoor that sits in the floor, and signs leading to the various offices. You make your way following these signs to the clerk's desk. And sign up for as you've been instructed to do by Judge Dermot, to be assistant defenders, and get pointed to the barrister in the defense chamber, which is on the 2nd floor of the building in A21. On your way there, you cross through the currently empty courtroom in A18, which is a grand room paneled in dark oak, vaulted ceiling, 25 feet high. The chairs for the justices are sitting there like thrones with built-in lecterns and the witness stand is directly in front of them. 2 polished mahogany desks, one for the defense and one for the prosecution, stand facing the justices' chairs. And there's an iron restraining chair with 6 sets of masterwork manacles for the accused that stands in the center of the room, and looks like it's been recently installed, probably especially for this trial. And then there are, of course, dozens of seats that each face the front of the court for the audience to be able to sit here And then to the west, there's the public gallery, A22, on the 3rd floor, that overlooks the room 10 feet above. So you cross that room, which is currently empty, to get to the A21, which is the defense chamber, small chamber, that's currently inhabited by Gustav Kappel.
Well, but
He-
charming fellow.
He's currently not wearing his court attire, and he seems kind of twitchy and kind of on edge as you enter. He's actually spooked by that, and he says, I'm sorry. Who are you, and how can I help you?
Oh yes, we are here to legally represent the Beast of Lepidstadt.
But I am its legal representative. I don't understand. Am I being replaced?
We have volunteered ourselves, you see, as defenders of the beast's name.
Oh, I see. Volunteers. Well, not a very, very common event to happen. But I guess, yeah, it's I know that it's possible. But I don't see what is there to defend. The beast is clearly guilty.
Oh well, fine representation you'll provide.
What are you
You've
trying to
already-
imply?
That you've already passed judgment on the creature you're supposed to be defending.
I have not passed the judgment because that is not my position to do. I have looked long and hard for any evidence for the beast's innocence, and there's just nothing that can be found.
Can we take a look at that evidence that you've found?
So you at least would be fighting for, for a lighter sentence, right?
Before I let you in on this, let me review your paperwork. And he asks you for those slips that you got from the courthouse clerks, and he studies them for a while, and then finally he sighs and he says, "Please close the door behind you." And as you do, he says, "I truly try to defend the beast. Trust me. But there is nothing to support its innocence. Nothing. There are 3 crimes that the prosecution is using in this trial. The murder of 10 citizens of the village of Morast a year ago, the slaying of 6 children in the farming community of Herkstag that was 7 months ago, and then there's the arson attack 4 months ago at the sanctuary on Carb Isle, which resulted in the deaths of Dr. Brada and his patients, and the blinding of the doctor's assistant, Carl. I've talked to all the main witnesses, and their stories are plausible. I truly want to see justice done, but without any evidence in its favor, the beast will be convicted.
So you are telling me that he is not even being held on trial for the break-in for which he was apprehended, but for standing crimes against him.
Oh, they are not trying to catch him on a minor petty theft. They are trying to convict him for murder. You've seen the punishing man. It takes quite a bit to deserve that punishment. And they're really trying to pin it on him.
Well, so at least they don't try him for something that he's obviously innocent of. Well,
I don't mean to be presumptuous here, Mr. Capel. But have you actually spoken to the beast?
I have, but it is not cooperative. All it says is that it didn't do it. Didn't do any of it.
Maybe it wasn't cooperative with you because you've not
Yeah,
shown them a disposition. I thought about that.
If you feel like you have a better chance of talking with it, I'd be happy to let you meet with it.
as it so happens, our
You know, there
friend
are
here
worse
has
things than
quite
the
a
beast of
knack.
Stadt out there.
Is that so? That may be. But how does it help the beast? I don't remember any case where, but by an example of something worse ever got the defendant walking.
I believe what my friend is trying to say is that we're not afraid to confront the beast and consult him and do whatever needs doing to gain his cooperation in his own defense.
But best of luck with that. I would take you there personally. Do you want to go right now?
Yes, there's no time to waste. No time like the present, is there? Especially considering that the trial is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So he grabs a ring of keys and he takes you downstairs to the first floor, and then he opens the trapdoor in area A2, and underneath is a staircase that leads down. And from there, you descend a steep stone stair into a large cellar. The ceiling is some 15 feet above the flagstone floor, and there's a narrow iron spiral staircase that stands in the center of the cellar. And he says, "Oh, I see they already moved him." And he climbs that staircase to the first and then second floor, and you emerge in A16, which is a prisoner holding room. And wait a second, I'm sorry. What the... It's not the right one. Oh, sorry. No, they haven't moved him. I'm sorry, they haven't moved him yet. So he in A12. There are a number of cells which are A13s, and then there's A14, which is a large cage normally holding groups of prisoners, but it's currently home to just one. a towering abomination sits in an iron chair, bound with no less than a dozen sets of manacles, stitching, holding together a grotesque patchwork of flesh and bone. Beast and man, though the wires are so taut, they look as though they may fly apart at any moment. Its mouth is twisted in a permanent sneer, and a shock of lank, dark hair clings to its scalp. The creature slumps in its chair, a despondent expression upon its monstrous face. As you behold the beast, you hear Gustav jingle his keys a little bit as he's shaking slightly, trembling, and he says, "There it is. I'm afraid it is not very cooperative." As he speaks, the beast looks up, and you can see its white eyes look at you one by one, and then it just goes and shakes its chains as it adjusts its position, slumping down.
Good afternoon, Mr. Beast. We are your legal counsel team.
I didn't do it.
At this point, Dr. Arronax would be visibly shocked by by the sight and actually hearing this obviously thing that shouldn't be living to speak, and that's nothing like than that horrors that he witnessed in the Harrowstone. Can I actually roll something to try to to recognize something about the beast nature?
Knowledge Arcana?
Yeah, Evelyn is doing the same because even she's rather shocked by this thing's appearance.
Geier will aid another.
Neither Evelyn nor Geier understand what they see here. If this was once man and has been transformed, or if this was constructed, only the doctor knows that there are such things as flesh golems, constructs stitched together, evil to evil, by the hands of a mighty practitioner of the arcane arts. But he also knows that something is very different about this beast, for flesh golems are mindless. And it just spoke.
Yeah, and this truly shocks Arronax as he glues himself to the to the cage bars, and with his eyes wide open in astonishment. You speak! For all things that you are speaking like you have a mind. You do have a mind. So, by all the gods in existence, what are you?
It stirs a little bit, and a couple of flies fly off that were sitting on it. It's pretty dirty, as you notice, as you get to look closer at it. And it's been obviously beaten and mistreated. And it winces as it adjusts its position and says, "I didn't do it."
I'm afraid you'll have to be a bit more specific. You see, you're being held on trial for 3 different charges, and, well, simply saying I didn't do it isn't much of a defense.
He looks at Evelyn
Come now, we're here to help you.
and says, "Why do they hate me?"
Because we're different, and they're scared.
Why are they scared?
That you'd have to ask them.
Evelyn rolls her eyes. Because you're different. Because you're very different from they are. And they don't understand things that are different from them.
And suddenly it roars and strains at its bonds. And it says, "I didn't do it."
And we believed you. Although, you're gonna have to tell us more than just I didn't do it if you expect any help from us. So let's start at the beginning. The village of Morast. You've heard of it?
And Beast just shakes its head.
No? Never heard of it? Never been there?
Didn't do it.
Okay, how about the farming community of... I didn't catch the name of the farming community.
That was called Hergstag.
Well, the farming community of Högstag? How about that? Been close to Högstag?
Hergstag? Elsa. Elsa! And again it roars and it pulls on its chains again and again, and it gets so upset that only a couple of whiplashes from the guards can put it back in its place. And it slumps down on the seat again and says, "Elsa, Elsa." And its face tightens. The stitching is pulling back its jaw into a grimace, making it look almost like the beast is laughing. But in fact, you see that it's sobbing, but its eyes can't produce actual tears. Elsa.
Who is Elsa? What happened to Elsa?
Elsa is my friend. She was killed by a ghost who stole their souls and walks at night. I didn't do it.
That's a lot to process. A friend of yours was killed by a ghost and her soul was stolen, and this ghost walks at night.
Yes. I tried to save Elsa. I failed. I found her pale body. I tried to return her to her father. But the people, they hate me. They hurt me. Why do they hate me?
This ghost, was it responsible for the other children who died there?
Yes, the ghost kills children, steals their souls. I didn't do it. Elsa.
Phew. Okay. We have our work cut out for us.
Well,
And finally,
But
although, let's look on the bright thing side. We already know how to kill ghosts.
what of the arson?
yeah, the sanctuary. What happened there?
I didn't do it. I don't know. Elsa.
Hmm.
And this mountain of a creature occasionally is rocked by a tearless sob. And Kappa says, "See, I told you that's nothing useful. Nothing."
But he certainly said
There's plenty useful.
Well,
certainly said a few more words than I didn't do it.
well, yes, but the ghost story. How's that gonna? You can't blame a murder on a ghost and expect to walk away with that.
Of course you can. I mean, the ghost killed our friend as well, not even a month ago.
But that seems way too convenient to hold up in court.
It seems too convenient to pin 3 different crimes on one creature with no evidence. Other than he's a creature.
Indeed,
What-
perhaps we're looking at this the wrong way. Should we not be questioning what evidence is being brought against him, aside from hearsay?
Well, maybe we should discuss this back in my office. And he will lead you back to his office if you let him. Okay, I'll assume you do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he'll take you back to his office and he'll say, "So the prosecution relies mainly on the witnesses, given the support that the court has by lie detecting magic. Witnesses are very strong evidence in favor of the prosecution's accusations. I'm afraid that I have nothing except for the beast's own flimsy and unhelpful comments that I can that I can put against that."
Well, the lie detecting magic doesn't show that he says the truth when he denies the
Well,
killings.
who's going to believe something that is not even entirely human works is affected by the magic the same way than anyone else? It's all too shaky to base the entire case on. And now we're also pressed for time. So the way that the trial is organized, you see, is that each case will be tried on in a single day. And after all 3 cases have been reviewed, there will be the final verdict. Every day starts at 10 a.m. and for various reasons in the arcane proceedings of our intricate legal system, all the evidence has to be presented before 10 a.m. Anything that comes that is found after that will not be considered in the trial. And the trial about what happened in Morast is going to start tomorrow already. And all I have from the beast is I didn't do it.
Well, he did say the ghost comes out at night, so at least we have our work cut out for us.
Well, that was Herkstag. That is an entirely different case.
You're right.
I suppose
Anyway.
there's no way that we can call for the trial to be delayed. I mean, how long has he been apprehended? They're still repairing the damage from the break-in. It can't have been more than a day or two.
Everyone is pushing real hard for the trial to happen soon because the people are already getting restless, and everyone is worried that a mob might storm the courthouse if justice is not served swiftly.
Eruptions. We need to delay this somehow.
There is no way to delay it. Trust me, I know the legal system inside and out, and there is no way to avoid the trial happening tomorrow.
Who are the witnesses being brought to testify against him in terms of the Morast case?
The Morast case, and he goes through his files. Well, in the Morast case, the beast had escaped a mob that was led by the village elder Lasny, which was called as a star witness by the prosecution for the beast's trial. Hello?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I think.
I'm taking down notes.
Yeah, that's what we're all doing.
All dude taking notes here. Okay.
So Lasny will offer testimony against him in Morast. Anyone else?
Well, I'm sure that the entire mob would repeat what Lasny will lay down,
Aye,
because
but
he will basically speak for all of them.
will the entire mob be in the courthouse or only him?
I don't expect them to. So, yes, if you can somehow discredit whatever Lasny is going to offer to the court, it would certainly help us immensely.
Perhaps it'll buy us enough time to make a little expedition and collect some evidence.
I don't know how your legal proceedings work here in Lepistad, but am I correct in assuming that we need to clear him of all 3 accusations before he will be released?
I don't think you need to clear him of all of them, but you will certainly have to sow enough doubt about them so that a a death penalty might seem too harsh.
Of course, yeah, I doubt that we can disprove any of these, but our goal, I believe, gentlemen, should be, as the attorney here says, to cast doubt. If we can discredit these witnesses, if that's primarily what they're relying on, do they have physical evidence of any sort?
I think it wasn't physical evidence. I think it's just a testimony of this last name.
Well, it's much easier to pit words against words than it is words against harder reality. Do they have no physical evidence against him?
Not that I am aware of, no.
Then it truly is just hearsay from a credible witness, but
Under
nevertheless
oath
hearsay.
and under the compulsion of only speaking the truth.
This is a fair point, but if that is the case, then perhaps we can find a way to make this Lasny doubt his own story.
And what would happen if, under this compulsion, both the beast and Lasny speak the truth? Lasny claiming it was the beast saying it wasn't him.
Well, as it's been established, the jury does not trust the truth zone spell anymore when it comes to the beast. And to be honest,
Is there some way we can... Sorry, didn't mean to
yeah,
interrupt.
sorry. And to be honest, the truth zone is somewhat overstated because, well, it really... Can I actually roll the knowledge arcana or spellcraft to know the intricacies of truth zone spell?
Is there any way that we can first establish for the jury that the anti-lying magic is as effective on the beast as it is on any man?
Honestly, I don't think that the pursuit of undermining credibility in any other way than delivering actual witnesses or clues will help you get any further with the court. If they spot even the slightest error on our part, we will end up right next to the beast, being tried for crimes just as harsh as murder.
No, I'm certainly not suggesting that we commit any crimes ourselves. I don't know where you got that impression. No, I only meant that we should cause the people testifying against the beast to doubt their own stories, not through any subversive means, but perhaps by finding holes in their logic or their stories, proving that even though they may believe what they are saying, their accounts may be flawed.
It's not the way that I usually operate. I'm not sure if I follow your line of argument here, and I don't. If you can give me precedents and point me to any illegal recordings.
I am no studied lawyer myself. Of course, you are the expert there. I don't suppose there's no way that we can gain witnesses for ourselves. All of these places are too far away to be reached and returned here in a day, and...
Morass is only 8 miles out.
Oh. Well.
It's right outside of Lippstadt.
In that case, never mind. I didn't even see them.
We have a field trip in order.
Yep. Yeah, because
Hergstag is also within reach, though it's clearly somewhat further.
At what time is that trial tomorrow?
at 10. Oh, right?
Yeah, evidence has to be presented by 10.
Well, we have a long night ahead of us.
Yeah.
What time is it at the moment?
Just about noon.
Less than a day. And how long ago did you say this murder, this spree of murders occurred in Morast?
In Moraz, it was 7 months.
A year ago.
I know in Moraz it was a year. Headstag 7 months ago. Arson 4 months ago.
Hmm.
Well, if your plan is to head out to Morast and see if you can find anything that disproves the mayor's story, or maybe you can even talk to him yourself, then I think we're just losing daylight here.
Yes, I think we should hurry.
That's true.
All right. And thus you hurry out of the chamber, the small office of the defense, and you rush down the stairs and towards the main courthouse door. And as you walk out the door, time slows down a little bit, and we fade to black.
All right. Okay, at this point I think I will leave you guys. It's really late at my end.
Yeah. Sorry about
So,
that. It took a
yeah.
little longer, but I
Yeah.
just really wanted to introduce the beast in this session. So
Yeah, it was great.
So I
That
bid you
was a
good night.
sight.
good night.
Good night.